So I'm actually going to use one of the examples that it has. Here it says, explain quantum computing in simple terms. So I don't think I can click on that. All right. So this is going to be passed to the OpenAI. As I mentioned, this is the data that it needs. A brief overview of how this thing is going to work is it can understand the text that you're passing to it. And then it pieces all that together to form a sentence. Based on this sentence, it will go all over the internet, right? ChatGPT or OpenAI is connected to a very, very, very large data set. Somewhere in wherever they have their servers, there's a big piece of server that has a lot of data that ChatGPT works with. So if I hit enter here, right, ChatGPT will go and find that information, formalize it, and then answer it back to me. Right. So here I ask it to explain quantum computing in simple terms. And then based on the information it has access to, it can provide it. ChatGPT itself will tell you that it has limitations. Limitation as in you can't ask it to give you something that basically doesn't exist, or you can't ask it to give you information that it hasn't learned yet, right? And as it goes, it actually learns more as it goes. I think somebody has taken over the presentation. Okay, I'm telling it to shorten the answer and then give it to me in 6 bullet points in a way that I can understand. So another good thing with ChatGPT is it remembers your previous conversation, right? As we go, you'll see that some of the information, even the answers that you give it, right? You can keep communicating or interacting with it to get more and more precise answers or to diversify your answer, right? And it remembers everything, right? So the way it works is, once you enter a new prompt, if you enter a new prompt, it's going to send the previous prompt and the answer with it, along with the new question you've asked it. Okay, very good. All right, so back to where we were. The second answer question that I asked is to give me a more detailed explanation of it. And as you can see, it expanded with more information, right? So this is one of the examples of what you can do with ChatGPT. Now we're going to get more specific. I have some exercises that I have already set up. And a good thing about these prompts is once you start collecting the prompts themselves become your sort of like intellectual property. Right. Some companies have been building businesses based on the prompts, because what happens is if you enter a prompt, right, the prompt will give you similar or the same information. So if I ask it, explain quantum computing, right, but I can make quantum computing into a variable where I can insert something else in here. So then my prompt becomes explain X being my variable, anything in simple terms. So if I was to build a web app or a mobile app, and what that mobile app will do is it will allow people to understand just things in general in simple terms, right? And all they have to do is enter what they want to learn, which is quantum computing. And then my app will present, maybe it will give a few options without you having to re-enter some prompts. So you can even select, give me in 6 bullet points by clicking a button or something like that. So the idea behind it is you can build your own application, your own solution out of these prompts. And you'll find that most companies will save the prompts, and a lot of them are good enough to make the prompts available, but most of them will keep it for themselves. So if you're familiar with all these new avatar or picture generation tools out there, right, we're going to look at the image generation as well. But what they do is they get a prompt that can generate an image. Like maybe you give it an image and it will make it cartoon-like or make it into a sort of a painting style. Then they will save that prompt. And within that prompt, it just tells you, it just creates an app that says upload your image. And then behind the scenes is repeating the same prompt to build it. So if you go on your Google app or your Play Store or App Store, you find all these new image editing or AI image tools. And all they're doing is most of them are using the same software underneath, the same libraries underneath. It's just that they've built a very nice set of prompts that allow them to create these solutions for people. And you find what people need, build a set of prompts that will fit their need, and then you can market it or capitalize on it by creating an application that will serve that purpose. So we're going to look at a few of these examples. Now, I can't give you exactly what business you can build with this, but I'll go through a few examples that are more dynamic. And then, your mind has to sort of start cooking and figuring out how you can take advantage of this and make your own, set of prompts that will work for you, right? So the first thing we're going to try to do, and as I said, if you have access to this link, these are the tools that we're going to be using. The tool that you were just looking at is called chat.openai.com. Once you enter, all you have to do is just make an account and you'll be able to start using it. The second link that I've added is a very powerful Chrome extension if you're using ChatGPT a lot. When you open ChatGPT, you won't see some of these menus that I have here. Right? These are because I've added the Chrome extension. It's just called Superpower ChatGPT. So somebody has created some items around it to make life easier. There's even a community prompts. So I said people keep hold of their prompts that they've been making. So you can test out different prompts and see what people are coming up with, right? Or come up with your own and then store them or share them. So that's the Chrome extension. Then we'll look at the image generation tools. Basically, it's similar to ChatGPT. You give it a prompt, a text, and then it will create an image out of that text. So we'll see that in a few minutes. And then I have two links here that will give you a lot of prompts that the community have been building for you to get some ideas out. All right, so the first exercise we're going to do is called blog content generation. So we've already seen that ChatGPT is capable of generating text. This itself, I can make that into a blog. If I write a blog about quantum computing, I can copy this and then paste it in my blog, find a nice picture to attach to it. Then I have a blog entry, either my website or my app, wherever my blog is, or even on Facebook or Twitter, wherever you want to put the blog. ChatGPT can create you a blog without you having to sit down and write it out. This thing is not a controversy, but since this is AI generated, there's no copyright infringement involved here. Even the images that are generated, it's generated by a robot. A machine cannot really claim copyright infringement on you. And its purpose is to give you this type of information. So keep that in mind. So all the text that you generate, nobody can come after you and say, hey, you're using my text or whatnot. Computer is generating it for you, so it's more or less free to use. So there's 3 prompts that I have here that we're just going to post into ChatGPT. And the idea is we want to have a blog website, right? We're going to create a blog website, whether on WordPress or some other platform. Now we want ChatGPT to give us 5 interesting blog topics that we can write. And we want ones that will be engaging to the user. Right? And once it's given us those ideas, we can even tell it to write us a 500-word sample for each blog that we can actually post. Right? And then from there, we're going to create these image generation prompts. The image generation prompts we're going to use elsewhere, but we want ChatGPT itself to give us those prompts. That way we can enter them verbatim and then use them to get an image that is similar to, basically an image that we can use for our blog based on the blog entry that it gives. So we're going to start with the first prompt. Also, as you're using the ChatGPT, it's going to be creating a history of things that you've already typed in. So you can go back to things that you've already interacted with. So if you create new chat, it's going to create a new entry. So here he says, I want to start a blog website. Give me 5 interesting blog topics I can write that will engage with my readers. So we'll hit enter and then we'll let ChatGPT give us those blog entries. Sometimes you'll find that ChatGPT can become redundant, as in you'll get similar styling or you get similar wording in a way. You have to be creative with the prompts that you give it. You can actually tell that some of the prompts that I've been given are very short, but ideally the prompts that will give you a better result is prompts that have a lot more content in it. Like this one has a prompt that, it's almost like a whole paragraph. But what that is telling ChatGPT is to gather all the information within the prompt that he is given to him and then make a better assumption. And you can even tell it to change the writing style or the tone of it, or even what language it can produce for you, but it has a limited amount of languages. So ideally, you can even tell it to translate some words for you in different languages that it supports. As it starts getting redundant, you have to realize that your prompt itself are not unique enough for ChatGPT to give you the right information. So you have to be creative with things that you write. In a way, you can even tell ChatGPT to build the prompts for you. Let's go back to our exercise. Our exercise, we said we want to start a blog website and we want 5 interesting blog topics that we can write that will engage with our users. So it gave us 5 different topics. It says, travel, personal development, food and recipes, technology, and entertainment. If you're not happy with this, you can, or if you want more topics, you can even tell it to give me more topics, or just say, give me, if I want to be specific, 10 more topics. And then it will write 10 more unique topics for you. But here we'll keep it to our 5. And we'll go back to our second prompt, which is write a 500-word sample for each of our blog. And then here is going to take each one of them and then start writing a blog that I can use. It gives me a title and then a blog that we can use. So another thing with ChatGPT, the one that we're using now is version 3.5, right? They came up with a new version this month, version 4. We're not going to go over version 4 today, but it's supposed to be way more powerful than the one we're using now. It's more accurate and a lot faster at responding, right? So you can see this can take some time since it's printing a 500-word sample for my 5 blogs. So even for the first one, it's taking some time, then it'll go to the second one. But ideally, as it goes, I can start copying my blog and then start organizing them somewhere and then get ready to post it on my website. But the ChatGPT 4 has a lot more computing power. It has more access to the data. And one thing it can do that this one cannot do is you can give it an image and it can interpret the image and give you a response out of it. I haven't tried that myself, but I've seen it in use and it's quite powerful. You have an AI tool that you can give it a picture and it can, based on that picture, it can grab information. Let's say you have an apple in the picture. It can recognize the apple within the picture and then give you information about that apple. So that's a quite powerful tool to be able to use. But this one has a limitation on that. So if your prompt starts getting heavy, ChatGPT will halt in the middle and you'll have to continue. Right? Either you type it in to continue or if you're using the Chrome extension, just click continue and it will keep going and build your list. So we'll wait for it to finish our blog list. And the next thing we'll do is we'll say create an image generation prompt for each of my blogs. So while it's finishing our blog creation, let's go and start working with some of the image generation tools. So the two that are my favorite to use is Dolly and another one called Catbird. So you can already see that the entry is similar to ChatGPT. Dolly is also a web app, right, built on top of the OpenAI platform. So we're going to give it a prompt. We're going to give it a prompt to generate us a picture. If the prompt is good enough, it will generate us a picture that is very close to what we need. As you can see, so these are some of the images that it has generated. All right, let's see the first one. It says 3D render of a cute tropical fish in an aquarium on a dark blue background, digital art. So since it was very descriptive, this is what it came up with. This one says an armchair in the shape of an avocado. You can see what it can come up with. Catbird is more powerful because it will generate in different AI models, right? As I said, the AI models you can think of it as a network of data that you have. The question is there any form of plagiarism in using ChatGPT in writing thesis or project work? I'll say when you want to write something for school, ChatGPT is more of a tool to help you. It's like Google, right? It's a tool to help you find information. So if you're writing a thesis or doing a project, ideally you're supposed to learn from the projects that you're working on, or your thesis is supposed to be something that comes from you. So rather than use ChatGPT to generate the whole thesis, use it to help you get information that you can use to piece together your thesis. So the answer to your question is no, there is no form of plagiarism. As I said, this is an AI tool that is generating the text for you. So you can't plagiarize an AI tool, right? Nor can the AI tool come after you for copyright infringement, right? But I'll say right now, ChatGPT has been controversial because of some of the things that children are using it to do, basically to help them, with their homework. Well, not even help them with the homework, but do the homework for them. Just use it as a way to get information. Yes, go ahead, Frank. So, so just to answer I hope I answered your question. There's no sense of plagiarism, but you just have to sort of have the integrity when you're using ChatGPT in a way to not basically infringe upon yourself. There are institutions that are careful you can actually detect the answers from AI. Since an AI library was used to generate an answer, the reverse is also possible, reverse engineering the AI tool, where there's platforms out there that can actually detect that certain answers was produced by AI. Now, there's no issue with getting things generated from AI, but the problem is, for example, if you're writing a thesis, right, and you're using an AI to generate your thesis for you, then it's not really you writing the thesis. If I just tell ChatGPT, build me a thesis on quantum computing, and basically you haven't learned anything from it. So as I said, there is no plagiarism, but the integrity is going to be coming from you on how you want to use these tools. Right. So I hope that answers the question. So as I said, we're going to test out some of the image generation tools. I have some prompts in here that we're going to use to test out. And all the images that you generate here are copyright free. So it's a computer generating the image. So you can feel free to use it in Instagram posts. post it anywhere. You can even sell these art as art, and no one can infringe upon you for it. Ideally, you don't want to use an art generated by an AI and say is your own. I mean, you can still say that it's AI generated, but it's based on your creativity that you generated this. So you can use it to get some money out of it if you want to sell it. So the prompt that I gave it is a lonely house on an island with a lighthouse on a sunny day. Okay, let's try it on this one. So if you're using the 3.5 version, sometimes you run into these issues where since there's many people using it, it'll tell you that either the server is overloaded with other requests. You can try again later. I'll try the other one and then see if this one will work for us. I wanted to use DALL-E because DALL-E is the OpenAI tool. So it'd be good to have something that will generate for both. But we'll see this one has generated ours for us. And it will show you the example in different models. We won't go into detail about the models themselves, but as I said, the model is just trained networks that has different type of information. Okay, so our prompt was a lonely house on an island with a lighthouse on a sunny day. So it tries to generate something that is very similar to it. We see the house here on an island with a lighthouse. And it's cool, right? You can pick an image that is more appealing to you and then use that image. If you have something specific you want to see, then post it in the chat and then I'll type it in. But I'm going to use the one that I have. I'm going to do another one, an oil painting of a lion near a pond in springtime. And let's see what it can come up with. Okay, the OpenAI one was able to generate it. I like OpenAI one because it looks a lot more realistic in some of the output, right? And this is quite crazy, right? This is AI generated. These are AI generated images. You can see how detailed the image has become. If I was to give you a brief overview of what it's doing, because each image, if you think about an image in computing, right? Computing graphics, it deals with pixels that have certain colors. And those colors, when put together, will create a picture that the human eye, when is looking at it, will interpret it in their mind and then create the picture in your mind. So the picture that you're seeing right now is actually a picture that you're creating in your mind based on the light that you're seeing. So the image that you're creating in your mind is based on the colors that you're seeing on the screen. So to give you a quick summary of what's happening here, the AI tool is able to piece together certain pixels, right? So if you see in the middle here, these pixels you can see are more green, like different shades of green. And the pixel are more detailed as you zoom in. A picture is filled with very tiny boxes starting from the left, and it prints all the way to the right and then repeats again. High quality images have tinier boxes, a lot more boxes in, let's say, one corner, right? Because it can produce more color in those boxes. And the more color that you see, the more pixels that you see in an image, and the more defined that image is. So basically it's taken like an image that it's seen before or it's trained with. So it's seen a lot of images with maybe lighthouses, an island, trees. And then based on that information, it can create you something random, putting together a random piece of pixels. But it's random from our point of view, but to it, it's piecing together these pixels that can produce something that it believes is an island. And since it's using the same sort of data that you know yourself, OpenAI doesn't have any data that it doesn't exist in this world. So the information that you yourself have of recognizing what an island is the same information this AI tool has. So it can piece together something that your brain will recognize and say, yes, this is an island and there's a house and a lighthouse. Right. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. Some of these ones are more cartoonish. Stable Diffusion is creating realistic, how cartoonish ones. So it depends on what your flavor is. You can go through and find pictures that are more appealing to you and use it for your need. For this one, we'll try a different prompt. This one says an oil painting of a lion near a pond at springtime. You can see that I'm already in here, but if you come to Catbird or DALL-E, you have to log in to be able to start using it. Let's give these two prompts. Oil painting of a lion near a pond in springtime. And these are not the only two AI generation or image generation tools available. There's a lot more, but I'm only using these two because these are the two that I use personally. In here, I haven't added it, but I'll add a link that has a list of all the tools that are available for AI. It's called futuretools.io. Make note of this link. This link will keep track of all the new AI tools that are coming out, right? So if one comes out tomorrow, Future Tools will have it. And it allows you to organize it to be able to check what exactly you want to need. So if you want AI that generates images, then probably use generative art, chat similar to ChatGPT. There's actually video editing AI tools or even video creation AI tools. You can write text and it will create you a video for it. A lot of them may not be free. A lot of them are paid, but you can filter out on the free ones and then, get a set of tools that work for you. Everyone's solution is different. So you have to find a set of tools that work for you and then use it for whatever, if you're doing a business or if you're doing a project. But keep this one in mind, futuretools.io. I'll add that in here. Okay. So let's go back to our images. Here we said an oil painting of a lion near near a pond in springtime. And this is what it gave us. An oil painting of a lion near a pond. This is what Dolly was able to give us. Dolly sometimes is more... Yes, I'm listening. You have a question?
My name is Ato. Please, I wanted to find out in terms of using AI or the GPT in academics, do you have to still go ahead and paraphrase, or you can just submit your work as it is?
As I said before, you may not have been here, but that decision is up to you. So when you generate text from AI, right, there's no plagiarism, nor is there any copyright infringement. But there is integrity there, because if you're generating something for school, then that conversation becomes more sensitive. I wouldn't recommend submitting something directly from AI for school, right? That's not my recommendation, because the point of school is to produce something based on what you're learning. You can use ChatGPT to gather research or get more information, but I can't tell you to say, submit it verbatim, but that decision will be up to you. So if you submit it, and then I think on this side of the world, they may not be as strict in looking it up, but in some universities or institutions, they started using certain tools to verify whether it's AI generated. But that's their own policy. Ideally, it doesn't matter. AI is giving you information, and you're using that information for whatever you want it to be used. But if an institution has set standards that you have to follow, like you're writing a thesis and they require you to write a thesis yourself, and you're using AI to generate it, then you have to deal with the consequences if you don't get away with it. Right? So my recommendation is, if you're doing it for school, don't use it verbatim. Make sure you understand what you're writing before you submit it. Now, if you're using it for business, that's a different story. I'll say if you're using it for business, just copy directly what you see here, because it doesn't matter, right? It's your business. You're trying to make a profit out of some idea that you have. So there's no reason to, like, exactly as you see here, just copy it and use it for yourself. Like, one of the examples we're going to go through is using ChatGPT to create Instagram posts that are ready to post your Instagram. For that, it really doesn't matter. You're just trying to get followers engaged. So you can get some text from ChatGPT that you can post on Instagram, and ideally even get images for those texts and then post them on Instagram. So when it comes to academics, that's when I say just, show some integrity, and you have to make your own decision when it comes to whether you want to submit it.
Right. Thank you very much.
I hope I answered your questions.
Yes, sir.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Right. Some of the other tools may be as accurate. The Midjourney one looks a little bit more accurate in terms of oil painting. Now let's try a different one. It says, a monkey discovering Earth from space on his galaxy travels. Now let's see what this one will produce. Yeah, and what I was saying before is, you can see that I went in directly and started using it. But as I said, once you come in here, you'd have to log in. At the beginning of the class, I mentioned I recommend that you create one Google account. Most of the AI tools that you're going to be using, you can sign in with Google, right? Since you can sign in with Google, if you make one account, then that one account will be the one that you use to sign in everywhere. That way you don't have to constantly sign up. And signing in with Google is quite simple, but we'll look at our other one. So it says, a monkey discovering Earth from space on his galaxy travel. This is what it's able to come up with. All AI generated. Yeah, and these images, I said, are copyright free. Nobody has painted it. It's a computer that has put it together. So you can use it as you see fit. Now you can see, look at this image on the left here. This image, it tried to put together something and it's sort of distorted. Sometimes you have to keep trying a few times before you get what you need, or your prompts has to be more specific with more detail to get exactly what you need. But as I said, the first image is not really usable. So I'll go through and find one that actually works for me. Or if I didn't get anything that doesn't work for me, then, I'll add more accurate. Maybe I want him to be, I want the monkey to be riding in a spacecraft. Let's see if it's able to generate that for us. So this is ChatGPT's version of it. Now, I don't like these ones, so I probably wouldn't use these ones because they don't really look that appealing, but I'm going to use my follow-up prompt and add to it and see what we can come up. We can see that it doesn't want to put the monkey in a spacecraft. Let's see if OpenAI is able to give us the monkey in a spacecraft. Almost. The closest one, I think, will be the second one, which is the monkey in a spacecraft, but it missed adding Earth to it, right? So depending on the prompts that you come up with, you can get what you need, or you can play around with it and come up with something that is more specific, that can give you a better detail. But this one I thought was funny when I was testing this out before. I wanted to generate our president on an island somewhere while Ghana is burning behind him. So let's see what the AI tool is able to come up with at this point. Yeah, also keep in mind with Catbird, the web platform uses cookies, and sometimes it can mix itself, and then the old prompts will be mixed in with the new prompts, right? So I'm trying to get it to generate the closest picture of Nana Addo, our president, who's relaxing on a beach somewhere while Ghana is burning behind him. I would say maybe this one, the second one from Open Journey version 2, probably more accurate. Let's see what else I can. Yeah, I'd say the closest one we've gotten is probably the second one here. But you see even what it's trying to do, right? I said Nana Addo, president of Ghana. So it has to find a way to give us the most accurate picture of Nana Addo. Right? If you look at this third picture, right, the third picture from Stable Diffusion, that's actually very close to, it's gotten maybe the head shape correct. It's more cartoonish, but if you look closely, it is probably the closest representation of. So what it's actually doing is it will go over the internet and find pictures of the image that you've given it. So it will find pictures of, the president of Ghana, specifically Nana Addo, and then it will try to reconstruct its own image based on what has found on the internet or what it has been produced to it. Right. So Stable Diffusion is one of the models that is hair color, black. Let's make it red to make it more vibrant. We're going to give them long hair. Type of clothing, we're going to go with business type clothing. I generated based on the information that we gave it, right? As I said, LucidPic, along with other tools, are also using AI libraries underneath of it. So somebody here has built a software, a web app, that he's using certain like data that you're giving it to create this fake person. This person is not real. It's AI generated, but it's AI generated based on the information that we gave it. They're wearing a business attire, you can see. We said long hair, but the hair is not as long as I expected it, right? But it's long enough. The hair is red. They have a serious expression. I don't know the amount of age that is going into, but this one looks a lot older than I wanted it. So maybe if I go younger, then it'll go a little lower. And then based on the pose that I gave it, so I can use this person's face for anything that I need. Let's say I want somebody happy because I want a good advertisement to use. Casual, somebody casual. Let's say somebody shopping. If you're shopping, then you should have a pose as you're shopping. So let's give them a pose as if they're going shopping, or a pose that's close enough to give us. We'll take this one. So we're going to generate our new person. Okay, it took out the other one, so let me do it again. Let's do casual, and then it says shopping. All right, so we're going to generate that person again. Well, a new person this time. All right, but it's pretty wild that it's able to create a very realistic image of a person which is not real, right? I say it's not real because, you can find a person in this world that looks like this. I'm sure some of you on this call even can find one of your family members or friends that look like this picture, but they didn't take the actual picture of the person. This is just AI generated, like this one. But yeah, as you can see, this one is quite wild, right? The person is not real, but as we said, shopping, they added the person in a shop in our pose. One of the limitations that I've been seeing with the image generation tools is the text that it can produce within the image, right? The text is not readable, even with OpenAI or these other models. When you see text within the image, it's not really readable, right? For example, I'll tell it to Brandon. I'm trying to give it a prompt that will give me text within the image. And I think that's the limitation of, since the AI tools are coming out now, they'll probably improve it as time goes, but it's not able to accurately give you text within the image. Since it's piecing together pixels to give you something as accurate as your mind can put together as a young girl smiling in a shopping location, right? It can give you as much information for your mind to put that together, but for the text, it has difficulty doing so. All right. This prompt that I gave it was a brand logo for my t-shirt business. You can already see some of the text are not really readable, right? It's not even in a different language. It's just putting together certain items to try to make a letter, but it's not able to put those letters together. Or that's one of the limitations I've seen with the AI, the image generation tools. So my recommendation is if you're trying to make a branding logo for your business, try try to give it a description that does not add text into it. Or, like this image right here, this is a nice image that I can use for my logo. But I'll try to be more descriptive as to exactly what I want. That can eliminate some of the text in the. So when I eliminate some of the text in the image, then I can get something more accurate, right? So I'll pause here and ask for any questions before we move on. I covered a lot, but as I said, I'd rather get feedback from you guys, things that you want to see. So I'll pause here for any questions before I move on. There was one in the chat that I missed. It says, can one put his or her own preferred picture or image for it generates in a different way? Yes. So the question, I believe the question, if I can summarize it well, is can you put your own image, basically upload an image and let ChatGPT, to let the image generation tools give you like a different prompt. So yeah, we can see DALL-E wasn't able to actually give us a face of Leonardo, but it got the fire correct and the beach correct. But this one has an upload image. I've actually never tested this out. I've only tested the prompts. So let's see if I can find an image and test out what they want. So the question is, if I give it an image, it should be able to interpret the image and then give me a variation of that image. So let's see what this image is. Okay, this is a fashion image. I'm going to use this image and see what the DALL-E tool can do for me. Yeah, I think it has a resolution limit. So let's do it like this. We'll crop it, and then let's do generate variations and see what it can do. The catbird one cannot do this, but what I will present is if you go to future tools, right? There's better AI tools out there that will take your image and then give you variations or even help you edit your image for you. I think image improvement could be one of them, right? Image improvement here says a suite to create product photos and profile pictures, tool to create profile pictures for social media, an online photo editing tool for creating designs. So all these are AI tools to help you modify existing images, right? So I'd rather use those than, let's say, the DALL-E version. I wanted to do one specifically on Midjourney. Midjourney is a more powerful image generation tool. It's probably the most powerful one out there right now. It is a paid version, but if you're trying to look for more accurate images, more defined images, and images that have content that seem more realistic, like an artist will paint it, then Midjourney is the way to go. Excuse me, and that's why it's more paid. But that one itself requires a different session for it because of how much prompt generation goes into creating those images. But as I said, this is an overview, so it's sort of just touching base on some of these images. It says, I tried signing into ChatGPT, but get the feedback that the authentication method that I used during sign up is not what I'm using now. Any help on that? David, did you use your email or did you use a Google sign up? And if you use Google sign up, and then if you use Google sign up, it will ask you to add your number so you can verify it. If you've done that already, then you should be able to go back into the account and then re-log in with Google. But ideally, if you're having issues with login, then it's most likely that either the account you use, you may have clicked on a different one, or you haven't authenticated with your phone yet. So ChatGPT does require you to do a phone verification. It's trying to limit how many people can have access to it. So it's trying to get as many real people as possible. So if you haven't done the phone verification, then maybe that's why it's not allowing you to log in. But just join the WhatsApp and then we can talk about the sign up issues from there more. My time is running, so I want to get through some of the other prompt ideas. All right. So we're going to go back to ChatGPT, and then this time we're going to write an essay. We have a prompt here, right? And this prompt is saying that you are a lead of a youth development program. The goal of the program is to help the youth in West Africa develop themselves professionally and be ready for a job market when they complete school. Now, you need to create an event to advertise a 5-day workshop for this program. The workshop will feature a panel discussion from experts in various fields, professional development activities for the participants. Now, what we want ChatGPT to do is to write a memo to the National Youth Organization requesting funding and support for this event, and give details about the workshop in the memo or the request that is going to write. So we're going to create a new chat, and then we're going to put our prompt in here. Yeah, and if you go and you find prompts on the internet, you can literally just paste it in here and see what it can come up with. So here is creating my memorandum for me, and based on the information that I gave it. Right. So if we read through the memorandum, it says, I'm writing to request funding for support for our upcoming 5-day youth professional development workshop. It's scheduled to take place. You give it a location, the date that is doing it. And the aim of this program is to help the youth in West Africa develop themselves. This is the information that we gave it. Then it will expand on that information. The workshop will feature on a panel discussion from experts in various fields, professional development activities, and network opportunities for participants. The discussion will be focused on providing insight and advice on how the youth can build their careers, the challenges they may face, and how to overcome it. So it's adding new information to expand on some of the things that I gave it, right? We believe that this workshop is a vital component for our youth development program, and it aligns with the goals and objective for your organization. As such, we would like to request your support in the form of funding, promotion, and participation in the event. Your contribution will help us create a valuable experience for the participant and ensure the success of the workshop. We'll be delighted to discuss this opportunity further and provide more detail about the workshop. Please do not hesitate to contact us if you have any questions and would like to discuss this opportunity. So this is a really good memorandum that you can use based on what the AI can generate. And if you don't like it, you can ask it to be maybe more specific in paragraph 2, expand on certain information, or maybe change the styling that is written in. Yeah, but this is an example of how to write a memo based on maybe something that you're trying to set up, right? So that's also another way you can use ChatGPT to benefit yourself. Another way to use it is to tell it to teach you about a topic, right? Let's see the first one. Teach us about SEO marketing. For those that are not familiar with SEO, SEO is a way for you to gain traction on a website or some content on the internet, whether it's Google, Bing. SEO is a set of keywords or data that is attached to a piece of data on the internet, whether it's on a website or a social media website somewhere. And then these keywords will align with that content. If it's a blog, it'll be keywords that will match certain phrases, words, or full paragraphs on that blog. That way, when somebody types in something on Google, Google will match it to what's on your website. The more defined your SEO keywords are, the easier it is for people to find your content on the internet, right? So if you don't know anything about SEO marketing, you can have ChatGPT teach that to you, right? So it's going to go into detail to what SEO is. Here, saying it's a digital marketing strategy used to optimize website to rank higher. Rank higher, a rank is basically if you type something in Google, if you're ranked higher, then that means you're going to be either on the first page or the second page. Ideally, you want to be on the first page. So the higher you rank, the earlier you will be on the search engines, right? So that's why it's called search engine optimization. Because SEO helps your website to appear at the top of the search engine results when someone searches for keywords relating to your business or industry. And it's going to go into more detail about different aspects of it. So you can see here, it broke it down into different topics. You can tell it to, let's say, expand on keyword research. Expand on keyword research and give me more detail.
What do you mean you're not like me? You enjoy getting space.
Please, if you join, put your mic on mute. That way we can keep the class undistracted. So here's expanding on the keyword search and is giving more detail. And as it gets more detail, it will expand on those details as well. So you can actually, if you keep going deeper and say, expand on brainstorming, expand on research along the way, right? So this, you're interacting with the AI tool to help teach you something, right? So this prompt is in here if you want to try it and be more creative with how you want it to teach you something. We're going to get to a second one. Let it teach us how to become investor ready for our business. And you can see that I keep creating new chats for it. You don't want to conflate your chat, your prompts by, adding things, adding things that are mixed with other information, right? You want to keep it consistent. So I'll create a new chat for a new prompt that I'm making. That way you can get a fresh piece of information. So here I said, teach me how to become investor ready for my business.
Hey.
Okay. Yeah, please keep your mic on mute. If you don't have a question, just stay on mute. Just keep your mic on mute if you don't have any questions. All right. So here it says, teach me how to become investor ready for my business. And remember I said before that the prompts that you give it, since these two are similar, for the first one it says, teach me about SEO marketing. Second one was teach me how to become investor ready. So the teach me is the consistency between the two. And you can see that the answer is quite similar, right? It will give a brief overview about it and then break it down into different sections. So I can tell it to expand on the different sections. That way it can give me more detail about it, right? Okay. As time is going, I'm going to try to run through some of these exercises. There's this one that I want to show. This one is very fruitful for those that deal with productivity and those that build what we call systems for their businesses, right? But I want to get through to this, get enough time to be able to demonstrate this, because there's a powerful set of, I'd say, workflows that combine ChatGPT with other tools when you're working or building a business. All right, so let's go through the rest of them. We've already covered the generating copyright-free images. Here you can actually tell ChatGPT, for my software developers out there, to write code for you, right? Code that can actually run. So if you're familiar with Python, here I said, write a Python script to give me the latest stock information, right? What that means is it's going to find some library that is able to gather stock information. Yahoo Finance is the one that is using. AAPL, I forgot what that one represents, but those familiar with stock is Apple, right? It's Apple stock. Every stock has, let's say, I would call it abbreviation, like a label that you can use to find that stock, right? Based on that abbreviation, Yahoo Finance has a library that allows you to get information about that stock. And then here is printing out the stock information for us. So let's see if ChatGPT got it right. I'll skip through this since this is not a coding class, but we're just trying to run a code that ChatGPT gave us and see what it can come up with. Now, sometimes you'll be lucky and then you'll get it correct, as in it's just going on the internet and finding existing information about that business, models and analysis that other people have done on that business and provided that information online. And then is using that to tell you, this has been done in the past. This is how things have been done. Actually, I'm going to regenerate this. I'm going to make a new one and try to be more specific. What I want to do is say a t-shirt. So I don't want it to give me information, global information. I want it to be specific in West Africa. So I'm going to run this, and then while it runs, let's go through the one that is more generic, right? So I said it's going online and giving you real market data that applies to the business idea that you gave it. Right, so let's read through some of it a little bit quickly. It says, t-shirt printing business has become increasingly popular in the recent years. Business involves custom printing into a wide variety of different clothing items, primarily t-shirts for customers. This includes printing logos, designs onto t-shirts, either through heat transfer or screen printing, depending on the customer's need. The business can either be done as a service, or it can be done as a retail business where the t-shirt or other clothing and accessories can be sold with the design pre-printed on them, right? So there's a summary about the idea that you gave it and the industry insight. The global apparel market size is expected to be 15.6 billion by 2025. This is real data that is found on the internet. It says the increased demand is fueled by the ongoing changes in fashion trend, which is true, with consumer turning towards personalized apparel to showcase their individuality and creativity. Now, this information is also very accurate since COVID. If you guys have followed the market, either drop shipping or printing in general, during COVID, it became a booming business because people were at home and they wanted to take advantage of these type of like services that doesn't require them to have physical locations or physical hardware. So people will actually create the designs, send them to printing locations and have them printed, send them to drop shipping locations to have them package and ship it for them. So a lot of people made money from specifically just, t-shirt design businesses, like printing businesses, right? So it's pulling search information on the economy to help you understand how it will be to enter this market, right? So it gives you the SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat for that business. The pastel analysis is new to me. The information is useful for those that are trying to get into this business, target audience and user stories. So you can actually start using this information. You can download this as a PDF or copy it into a document somewhere and then use that in your business model, your business plan when you're building it together, right? It says additional revenue stream. In addition to t-shirt printing services, there are other potential revenue streams that can be explored. These could include offering, right? If you've used Jira, Monday, Trello, all those tools, Notion sort of is similar to that, but it adds documentation to it, right? So I may do another talk on Notion because of how useful this tool is. But right now we're going to pay attention to the table that Notion will create. So our goal here is to use ChatGPT to summarize what we're going to do, right? We'll learn how to use ChatGPT and other AI tools to automate our workflow to make our work and life easier. So for this example, we have this Ghana news feed, right? Every day, if you guys are familiar with Now Ghana, News Ghana, Ghanaian news are posted here, right? So let's say every day I want to come in here, read the news, but my time is very short, and I'd rather have somebody read this and then, summarize it to me. I want the most important things summarized for me, rather than having to go through and read all the news, right? So what I have built here is using ChatGPT, right? You can actually copy a full text in ChatGPT, and I'll tell it, summarize the following in 6 bullet points. So I'm giving it a full text, and I wanted to summarize it for me. By summarizing, it itself will read the news feed, and then it will understand it, and then it will give me the bullet points out of it. This one, it says, U.S. will increase investment in Africa, right? So the first bullet point, Kamala Harris, Vice President of the United States, announced an increase in investment in Africa to speed up the economic growth opportunity on the continent. So it's easier to look at it in bullet points because it's picking out the most important ones that I can look at the highlights, instead of just reading these ones. I can even tell it to make the bullet points shorter, right? So having this in mind, Zapier is a tool that allows you to connect multiple, let's call it tools together, right? So we're going to combine Newsfeed, RSS feed, ChatGPT, and Notion. And our goal is to have ChatGPT continuously summarize news for us and then post it in Notion. So every morning when you come, all you have to do is go to your news summaries, click on it, and then it's summarized for you. Just read the bullet points. And then if you want, you can go directly to the link and then read it for yourself, right? But here, I just have the news feed that, the summarized of the news feed for me. So let's see how this will work, right? So this is something that I wanted to do. But the reason why I'm doing this exercise is for your mind to start thinking about how you can automate your own process, to create your own system for your business, for your work, or for your projects, right? This will allow you to have a sort of like a robot assistant that will do things that will take the tedious work out of your hands, right? Do all the grunt work for you. Like even you can have it read, if you're into stock exchange, right? You can have it daily read your stock information and then pick out the specific information you want, put it inside of a document for you, And in the morning when you wake up, all you have to do is just go to your document. Then you have the stuff, created for you, right? So as I'm going through this exercise, I want you guys to sort of like use your mind to come up with. I've already done this before, so I'm going to start it over and then show you how this is done. I'll quickly describe Zapier again. Zapier, if you let's go to the main website. All right. Zapier, what it does is it combines different tools online to make them work together. Like this one says, save new Gmail's attachments to Google Drive, right? So it'll read your email. If it has an attachment, then it will save it to Google Drive. It has a lot of examples that you can try. It says, add new labeled Gmail emails to rows on Google Sheet, right? Here, if you go to, these are the apps that I've created, but I want to see an example of all the apps that it can do. I think there's a list of apps somewhere. But here, at least you can see, if you type in a specific app that you need, these are the Google apps that are available, right? There is, I think it's OpenAI is the one that we're going to try. Notion is in here as well. Trello is in here. What else? Let me see, it's Instagram, yeah. Okay, Instagram is also here. So you can even automate posts to go into Instagram. Like now that I see this, I'm actually going to try it at some point, right? If you remember the conversation I was having about automating your Instagram post with Canva, right? So this will be your third extension. So once you've automated the creation of your Instagram posts, you'll come here and then you'll connect those. You put it somewhere, maybe on Notion or somewhere that Zapier can access. So you do something like this. You connect Notion with Instagram, right? So what I'm going to guess is going to do is read posts from Notion. So if you have a table of posts that you want to post into Instagram, right? And then it will read that text and then post it as an Instagram post for you. So you can actually also put a timer on this saying, if you have a content generation plan or an advertisement plan of every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 o'clock, I need to post an Instagram post, right? If you have all those posts ready, you can schedule those to be posted at exactly that time using Zapier, right? That's the power of this tool. But right now, that's not what we want to do. So I just wanted to demonstrate what it can do, right? So what we're going to do is use the first one that we're going to try. It's called RSS, right? So to briefly summarize what we wanted again, remember we want to we want ChatGPT to read the news for us and then summarize it and then put it into Notion, right? So this is one that I've done before, but I have a separate table, right? So to be able to do that, you have to create a table in Notion, right? The table in Notion, you can name it anything you want, but it has to be something that you have to authenticate. So what Zapier is when you connect all your tools together, like if you connect OpenAI, right, you have to give it your API key from OpenAI. That one is a bit more complicated, but I'll show you how that is done. Right, if you make an account on OpenAI, you have access to something called an API key. API key allows you to build applications that can access ChatGPT yourself, the OpenAI software yourself. So you can actually build your own ChatGPT, right? Basically, this one is taking this prompt, to summarize this prompt, and then it will pass it to OpenAI. So you can build your own tool to be able to do that. Question is, I have an online radio station. Can all these tools be used? Can all these tools be able to operate it? The question is a bit vague, but if you're more specific on what you wanted to do, I think I understand what you're saying, and the answer is yes, right? But it depends on exactly what you're trying to produce. If let's say you're trying to produce content that you can say on your radio station, or creative ideas that you can have on your radio station, then the answer is yes. If you want to even automate some of the content that you will work with, daily on your radio station, then yes, that's something that you can do. But I'll say, Goldman, if you were more specific on what exactly you wanted the tools to do for you, then Mike can explain it better. It says, what AI tools can help with Okay, I'm going to finish the demonstration then. I'll take the questions again, right? So you can go ahead and keep asking the questions, and when I finish, I'll go through them one by one, and then we'll answer those questions. All right, so remember our goal is to read these news, have it summarized, and post it here for us without us doing anything, right? So the first one we're going to do is called RSS. RSS is an old internet tool that is able to, if your website has a thing called feed, and feed is every time something new is added to the website, the feed is going to tell other people that are subscribed to that feed that something has been added. So if a new news article is added here, then if I'm subscribed to it, then I automatically get information saying, oh, a new news post has been added. You can go ahead and click on it to read it, right? So that's what RSS does, right? And you would need the link to the RSS feed. So not every website has an RSS feed, right? Keep that in mind. Not everyone has it, but I'll say 80 to 90% of them do have it. And this is what the feed looks like, right? It will give you the latest, like the latest news, right, from the News Ghana website, and then more details about it, like what else does it give us? Like the date. Here it has some category information, the link, the description, and then the content. So we're interested in the title of the news, and then the content of the news itself, and then the link if we want to go and read some more about it. So RSS feed will give us that information. Since we don't have to log into News Ghana to get that information. Here, I'll show you how I got here, right? Whenever you create a new Zap from Zapier, you have to go to Create Zap, right? Let me start afresh and do that instead, right? Then you will create what is called a trigger. A trigger is the app that we need to add into our Zapier, right? So the app here, we're going to start with RSS feed. We're going to use 3 apps, RSS feed, OpenAI, and Notion. So RSS feed is the first one we're going to start with. So we want new items in the feed, right? And remember, this is the link for our feed. So new items within the feed. So we go on to create it. We want our feed URL. And what trigger for the news feed is whenever you have a new URL. If you have a new URL, that means you have a new news article that has been added, right? A new news article that has been added. And that's what we're interested in. So if everything goes well, we can go on and even test the trigger. So if we test it, this will tell us that this new article called Health Facility at O2 Senya District records 0 maternal mortality, right? So this was added very recently today, right? So we want access to this information that we want to pass to ChatGPT. So let's continue. This is where we will do OpenAI. So we have GPT-3, and you can even tell it to generate images and store it somewhere. Right here, we're more interested in. So here you can generate images, but we want to send prompts. Send prompt is similar to what we're going to be what we did in ChatGPT, send in those prompts, right? The account part is where you have to authenticate your OpenAI account, right? If I was to say connect new account, it's going to ask you to, I've already done this, that's why it has the account already connected, right? It's going to ask you to enter your API key, right? Your API key, you can get it from openai.com. Once you sign in with an account, you have access to an API key. If you go to openai.com, go to developers, go to overview. All right, once we go to overview, this one is easy to find. You can just Google how to get my API key from OpenAI. So once you're logged in, you go to your personal account, you go to view API keys, and then these are ones that I've created already. If you create a new one, then you can copy it. And then once you copy it, you paste it in here, and it'll be connected, right? So basically what's happening is you're connecting to your OpenAI account. That way Zapier can use it on your behalf, right? Because here is using OpenAI's, like the account that you made here, right? We're using it on our account. But Zapier needs to be able to use your account to be able to access OpenAI. So here is going to be connecting to my account. I think I have to redo this because, yes, no, the account that I added. So once the account is connected, then you go to the actions, right? Now, our action was we want to summarize the following in 6 bullet points, right? And then the text that we're going to add is from our news feed. Remember the previous trigger that we made, right? The output of it is what we get here. So we're interested in the content, which is the actual news. So similar to what we did here, summarize the following in 6 bullet points. And the following was the news feed, right? The same thing we're doing here, summarize the following in 6 bullet points. And the automation is we're going to pass it the content that we get from every new news that our feed is going to read, right? The rest of it you can leave basically the same. So if I continue, then I can actually test it, right? So you can even see this, it says summarize the following in 6 bullet points. And it's the feed that I was getting from, so if I say test action, when I say text action, it's actually going to do it. And then you can already see that it's giving me the 6 bullet points for the news feed that I read, right? Health facility in this location records 0 maternal mortality in 2022. Skill deliveries increased in 2021. And then all the information that I need from my feed, right? So now I wanted to add it to Notion. So Notion, as well as here we'll call it create a database item. So remember we made a database in Notion that we can add items to, right? So we'll make this specifically for Zapier to use, our robot to use to add entries in there. The entries it's going to add is the response from ChatGPT. All right, I've already logged in, but if you want to create a new account, this one is easier than OpenAI. Notion, you can log in from the browser, or you can download the app to use it, right? Account and you don't have one. Zapier will go through that step and allow you to create a new account, right? But when you create an account, just make sure that you make a table that it can access, right? So here, I'm saying, this is my account. I'm saying, give me access to one of the pages. And then I'll say, this test news summary. So we'll bring out all the list of your Notion pages, and then you can select one to give Zapier access to, right? I've already done this, so I'm going to skip this. That's why you see that this app is connected. So the action that I want to do, right? Since I gave it access to my test news summary, right? I'm going to select that one. The name of it is going to come from my RSS feed. That's the title of my news article. The link, the URL, and those columns I have here, which is the URL. If there's an image from the feed, I can add it here. And then this is where my title is going to go, right? So these columns, the name, URL, tag, image, and content will match what comes from Notion. Tag, image, URL. The content is what comes down here, right? So all I have to do is just select what text will go into it. So this is variable. This variable is in the title will be whatever news feed that has been read, that title of it. And then the link for that news article. I don't have any tags or images to worry about, but I'll use, so this content is not going to be coming from the news feed. If I did want the news feed, maybe I wanted to take all these news and put them in Notion, then I can just add the content from the news feed. But The goal here was to add the response from ChatGPT. So that would be the choice text, what is summarized, right? Then I'm ready to test, and then I can choose a format for my text, right? So if everything goes well, then I should have a new entry in here in my Notion. So I'm going to test this action. So if everything goes well, all this should be added into, now I'll get a new entry in my Notion, right? Which is the news article. If I want to read more, I'll click on the link to go on it, right? So now my workflow is automated. I have 3 apps that have been automated, right? But you saw that everything I did was manual, like my testing of it. But even with the manual step, it's still pretty powerful. Rather than always come in here, click on the news, copying the text, taking it to ChatGPT, doing it here, and then copying this, go into Notion, and add it in here. Even with the manual step, I can click just one button for it to do it again, like retest action. But Zapier is more powerful than that. If you publish this Zap, right, publish and then turn on, right, what that does is, once this is active, right, it's sitting there and constantly reading. It's sitting there and constantly reading. Now, I already have many Zaps that have been created, so you are limited on Zapier on how many Zaps you can do. So I think you have up to 3 or so Zaps. Like basically Zaps are workflows that you can create, right? But basically what it will do is once you publish it itself, it will sit there and it will do the automation for you. Once it's published, then Zapier has access to your workflow. So every morning you come, there'll be a news article. All these were generated by Zapier, right? I didn't manually go in there and add them myself. So there's a robot somewhere on the internet doing this for me. I've told it where it needs to put information, where it needs to get information, and where it needs to write that information, right? And it's doing that for me automatically without me having to do the work, right? So this was just my use case. Now, if you have a specific way of putting together your own workflow, right? Okay, let's use the Instagram as an example, right? Based on the Canva automation that I told you about, right? Let's even check if Zapier has Canva. Okay, I don't think it has Canva, right? But if you're using Canva's automation, because Canva has its own automation, if you're using Canva's automation to build your Instagram post, right, there'll be images, right? In Notion, you can also add images here. Either you add the image URL or add the image directly into your, like here you can, as I said, I'll do another tutorial on Notion, but here I'll just show you can add images directly within. I'm going to add one of the Unsplash images, right? So this could be my Instagram caption, right? And the image that I want to add, right? So I can have the Canva automation that I talk about. ChatGPT will generate me all my Instagram captions and then drop them directly into Notion. And then the Canva automated images that I make, I can also automate adding them here. And then we just saw that you can add Instagram in this, right? So ideally you can have your Instagram post also automated, right? Maybe another, our time is running, our time has even passed, but maybe another time I'll go into this, but you can automate your Instagram post by using these 3 tools, ChatGPT, 4 tools, ChatGPT, Canva, Notion, and then Zapier to combine all of them, right? So your workflow can be very, very powerful, right? It's recommended for any business person or professional to build a set of systems that work for you. You don't always want to be doing the manual work. It's a lie when you've been told that, the hardest working people are the most successful. That's not very true. In fact, the hardest working people are the least successful. Those that are successful have built what they call systems, right? they've automated the hardest part of their work to give them more time to be more creative or to find different revenue streams, like different ways of making money. If you're spending more time doing hard work, your mind, there's no capacity in your mind to think about how to grow a business or because you're just stuck doing the grunt work, right? But you want to build systems that will alleviate some of the hard work. That way, you have more time to do more of the professional part of the development. So these tools are in place for you to be able to do so, right? Learn the tools, use them to, build these systems that will work for you, right? My way may not be the same way that you do it, but if you go through and play around with the tools, especially if you follow the future tools and then see all the different tools that are available, right? You can come up with your own set of systems that work for you, right? That alleviate some of the hard, even if you're a student, right? Taking notes can be a thing of the past where you have an AI taking notes for you. But as I said, as a student, just, have some integrity on how you utilize the AI tools. Don't claim work for something that an AI tool made, because eventually, it will be known, right? Just, if you're using an AI tool, admit you're using an AI tool. There's no problem with using it, right? There's no stigma about AI tool usage. The point of them being there is for this type of use, right? But use it to build systems for yourself to alleviate a lot of hard work that you need to do by hand, right? That way you have more time to do the more interesting part of business and professional development, right? So I mean, here we can conclude the demonstration because we've completed our part, but I would like to have another one that goes through Notion, because this tool I recommend everyone to use or to learn how to use it, right? To organize your documents, your all your writings in a well-formatted form. This can even be a way to, like this page, right? I can export it out to PDF, right? And make that available for people to use. So you can even use Notion to build PDFs, whether it's for your business or for somebody else to use. But I can demonstrate that real quick. So now we have a PDF of our lesson that we just went over, right? And Notion was what we used to build this PDF. So yeah, Notion is a very powerful tool. Though it wasn't part of our lesson today, I wanted to add it as part of our ongoing learning of AI tools and what they can do for us. So I'll go back to the chat and answer some of the previous questions. It says, please, what AI tool can help me with data analysis for an internal auditor? In terms of data analysis, right? I'll go back to ChatGPT and say ChatGPT is overall host as well. When you say format, as in format how the text looks, then you have to tell it how to format it, right? Here it just gave us a caption, right? This is a caption that it gave us for us to use. Flash alert sales, get 20% off all t-shirt designs with code flash20. Hurry, limited stock available, right? So this is actually a good Instagram post to use for promotions, right? To promote some of our ones. But when you say format, again, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by format, but if you're saying maybe the flash sale will be on one line and then they get 20% will be on another line, you would have to tell it to give you the specific format that you want. You can tell it to even give you in a specific tone, right? I haven't tried out the different tones, but you can tell ChatGPT in one tone. To use for automobile engineering lessons by myself. Okay, we have to sign up. So this is similar to the sign up pages that you will see. So I always sign up with a Google account. So I said I recommended making one Google account to use for all your signups. I mean, I recommend Google accounts for a lot of different things. So unable to process required due to missing initial state. I don't know what that means. So let's try. So again, let me add this to our link just in case it helps. But I recommend trying ChatGPT first, right? So this one has a limit on what you can use it for. So it seems it already stole one of our queries. So let's try it again. mobile engineering.